The morning sun rose over the human colony on planet Novo 7. It was a beautiful day. The colony had been there for 20 years. 50,000 humans called this place home. They had built farms, schools, and small cities. Children played in the streets. Parents went to work. Everything seemed peaceful and normal. Commander Hyunwoo stood on the observation deck of the main station. He looked at the blue sky and smiled. His wife and 2 children lived in the southern district. His daughter was 7 years old. His son was only 4. They were happy here. This planet was their home now. But something appeared in the sky that day. Large ships came out of nowhere. They were not human ships. They belonged to the Valthene Empire. The Valthene controlled 3 star systems. They were powerful and proud. They thought they owned everything they could see. The Valthene commander sent a message to Hyunwoo. The message was simple and cold. The Valthene wanted the planet. They wanted the minerals under the ground. They did not care about the humans living there. They told the humans to leave within 1 day. Hyunwoo tried to talk with them. He explained that humans had been there for 20 years. They had built homes and lives. The planet was officially registered as human territory. The Galactic Council had approved it. Moving 50,000 people in 1 day was impossible. The Valthene commander laughed at him. He said humans were weak. He said humans were just a young species that knew nothing. The Valthene had conquered many worlds before. They would conquer this one too. Hyunwoo asked for more time. He asked to speak with the Galactic Council. He asked for a peaceful solution. The Valthene commander refused everything. He gave the humans 6 hours instead of 1 day. He said this was his final offer. Hyunwoo immediately contacted Earth. He sent an emergency message to Terra Command. But Earth was very far away. It would take time for help to arrive. Too much time. The colony began to panic. People tried to pack their belongings. Parents grabbed their children. Everyone ran to the transport ships. But there were not enough ships for everyone. The colony had never expected to evacuate so quickly. Hyunwoo worked hard to organize the evacuation. He sent women and children first. He told everyone to stay calm, but his heart was breaking. He knew they could not save everyone in 6 hours. He kept trying anyway. 5 hours passed. Only 10,000 people had left the planet. 40,000 remained. Hyunwoo sent another message to the Valthene. He begged for more time. He said they needed just 2 more days. He promised the humans would leave peacefully. The Valthene commander did not answer with words. He answered with weapons. The Valthene destroyer fired at the planet. Massive energy beams hit the surface. Cities exploded in seconds. The southern district disappeared in fire. Hyunwoo watched in horror as everything he loved died. His wife, his children, his friends, gone in moments. The remaining transport ships tried to escape. The Valthene destroyed most of them. Only 3 ships managed to jump to hyperspace. They carried survivors. Terrified survivors who had watched their world burn. The Valthene commander sent a message across the galaxy. He announced his victory. He said the Valthene Empire had claimed another world. He said any species that challenged them would face the same fate. He seemed very proud of himself. The Valthene did not know what they had just done. They did not understand humans at all. One of the surviving transport ships arrived at Terra Command 3 days later. The survivors told their story. They showed the recordings of the attack. They showed the bodies floating in space. They showed the burning planet. Admiral Daiyun sat in the command center. She watched the recordings with cold eyes. She had been a soldier for 30 years. She had fought in many battles. But this was different. This was murder. This was an attack on innocent people who had done nothing wrong. She immediately called an emergency meeting. Every human military leader came. Every politician came. Every scientist came. They all watched the recordings. They all saw what the Valthene had done. The room was silent for a long time. Then Admiral Daiyun spoke. Her voice was quiet, but everyone heard her clearly. She said 3 words that would change everything. We go to war. Ambassador Taeyang was sent to speak with the Valthene. He traveled to their home system. He met with their emperor. He gave them 1 chance to surrender. He explained that killing 40,000 humans was an act of war. He said Earth demanded justice. The Valthene emperor laughed at him. He said Earth was too far away to do anything. He said humans were weak and scared. He said the Valthene military was the strongest in the galaxy. He told Taeyang to go home and forget about Novo 7. Taeyang did not argue. He simply left. He returned to Earth and gave his report. The Valthine would not surrender. They would not apologize. They would not pay for what they did. Admiral Da-un smiled when she heard this. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a predator who had found prey. She gave orders to every human fleet. She activated military bases that had been quiet for years. She called soldiers back from retirement. She authorized the use of weapons that Earth had hoped never to use again. The Galactic Council heard about the conflict. Many species came to watch. They were curious. Humans were still young in galactic terms. Earth had only been part of the galactic community for 50 years. Most species thought humans were harmless. They thought the Valthine would win easily. But some old species remembered things. They remembered ancient warnings. They remembered that Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world. Only the most dangerous planets got that classification. They remembered that humans had evolved as apex predators on a planet that tried to kill them every day. One ancient alien, a member of the Prothex race, spoke at the council meeting. He was over 500 years old. He had seen many wars. He said something that made everyone nervous. The Valthine have made a terrible mistake. They think humans are weak because they seem peaceful. But humans are only peaceful when they choose to be. When you hurt them, when you kill their families, they become something else. They become what they were before they learned to be civilized. They become hunters. And there's nothing more dangerous in this galaxy than a human who has decided to hunt you. Nobody listened to him. They thought he was just a crazy old alien. They would soon learn he was right. Earth's fleets began to move. Hundreds of ships left their home system. They headed toward Valthine space. Admiral Da-un commanded them from the flagship Vengeance. The name was chosen carefully. This was not about conquest. This was about making the Valthine pay for what they did. Commander Hyunwoo was dead. His family was dead. 40,000 innocent people were dead. And now the Valthine Empire would learn a hard lesson. They would learn why you should never attack humans. They would learn that humans protect their own. They would learn that humans never forget and never forgive those who murder innocents. The war had begun. The galaxy would never be the same again. The human fleet moved through space like silent shadows. They did not announce their coming. They did not send warnings. They simply came. Captain Jiho commanded a small stealth ship called the Silent Knife. His ship was special. It could hide from almost any sensor. The Valthine could not see it coming. Jiho and his crew had trained for missions like this their whole lives. They were experts at sneaking into enemy territory. Jiho's mission was simple. Find the Valthine supply lines and destroy them. Every army needs food, fuel, and weapons. Cut off the supply lines and the army becomes weak. It was basic strategy. But the Valthine had never faced an enemy who fought this way. The Valthine military was powerful, but predictable. They fought in straight lines. They believed in honor and direct combat. They thought sneaking around was cowardly. This made them easy targets for humans who had learned to survive. On a planet where the strong survived and the stupid died, Jiho found the first supply convoy near the planet. Delthos 920, large transport ships moved slowly through space. They carried food and ammunition for the Valthine military bases. Only 3 small warships protected them. The Valthine commander thought this was enough. He was wrong. The Silent Knife attacked from behind. Jiho fired missiles at the transport ships. The missiles moved fast and hit hard. 5 transports exploded before the Valthine even knew they were under attack. The warships tried to fight back, but they could not see Jiho's ship. They fired their weapons at empty space while Jiho destroyed the remaining transports one by one. In 15 minutes, the entire convoy was gone. Jiho's ship disappeared back into the darkness. The Valthine sent messages demanding to know what happened, but there was nobody left alive to answer. This happened again and again. Human stealth ships appeared all over Valthine space. They hit supply depots. They destroyed communication stations. They attacked military bases when the soldiers were sleeping. The Valthine could not stop them because they could not find them. The Valthine Emperor was angry. He ordered his generals to find and destroy the human ships, but his generals did not know how. They had never fought an enemy like this before. They sent more warships to protect their supplies. The humans simply found new targets. Lieutenant Su Min led a different kind of attack. She commanded a Marine battalion, 300 soldiers trained for ground combat. They were the best fighters humanity had. They were about to show the Valthine what real warriors looked like. Sumin's target was a Valthine military base on the planet Krell 4. The base had 5,000 Valthine soldiers. It had strong walls and heavy weapons. The Valthine thought it was impossible to capture. They were wrong about that too. The attack came at night. Human dropships landed 5 kilometers from the base. Sumin's Marines moved through the dark forest without making a sound. They had trained for this. They knew how to move quietly. They knew how to hide. They knew how to kill. The Valthine guards never saw them coming. The first guards died without making a sound. Human soldiers cut through the outer defenses like they were made of paper. By the time the Valthine realized they were under attack, humans were already inside the base. The battle was brutal and fast. Valthine soldiers were big and strong, but they had never fought an enemy like humans. When a Valthine got wounded, he fell down and waited for help. When a human got wounded, she kept fighting. Humans fought with a fury that terrified the Valthine. They did not stop. They did not give up. They kept coming no matter what. Sumin herself killed 12 Valthine soldiers that night. She was wounded twice but kept fighting. Her Marines followed her example. They fought like demons. The Valthine soldiers began to run away. They were scared. They had never been scared before. The base fell in 4 hours. Sumin captured 2,000 Valthine soldiers. The rest were dead or had run into the forest. She sent a message back to Earth. The message was simple. Target secured. Minimal losses. Proceeding to next objective. Admiral Dayun smiled when she received the message. Everything was going according to plan. Engineer Jae-won worked in a secret laboratory on Earth. His job was to study Valthine technology. Human forces had captured some Valthine weapons and equipment. Jae-won needed to understand how they worked. More importantly, he needed to find ways to beat them. The Valthine used energy shields to protect their ships. The shields were strong. Human weapons could not easily break through them. But Jae-won studied the shields carefully. He ran tests day and night. He barely slept. He barely ate. He was obsessed with solving the problem. After 2 weeks, he found the answer. The Valthine shields had a weakness. They protected against most frequencies of energy weapons. But there was a small gap in their protection. A very specific frequency could pass right through the shields. Jae-won created new weapons that used this frequency. He sent the designs to the military. Within days, every human ship had the new weapons installed. The next time humans fought Valthine warships, the battle was very different. Human weapons cut through Valthine shields like they were not even there. The Valthine could not understand what was happening. Other species had fought the Valthine for years without solving the shield problem. Humans solved it in 2 weeks. This scared many people in the galaxy. It showed how quickly humans could adapt. It showed how smart they were. It showed how dangerous they could be. The Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. Representatives from 100 species came to discuss the war. Most of them were worried. The war had only been going on for 2 months, but humans were already winning. The Valthine Empire was much older and more powerful than Earth. How were humans beating them so easily? Representative Mireille spoke for humanity at the council meeting. She was young but very smart. She explained the situation calmly and clearly. The Valthine attacked our colony without warning. They killed 40,000 innocent people, men, women, and children. They laughed when we asked for justice. They threatened to do it again if we did not obey them. We gave them a chance to surrender. They refused. Now they face the consequences of their actions. An alien from the Qualic species stood up. He was tall and thin with blue skin. He asked Mireille a question. But why are you so effective in battle? The Valthine have conquered many species. Why can they not defeat you? Mireille smiled. It was a cold smile. Because we are human. We come from a planet that tried to kill us every day. We had to fight against animals with claws and teeth. We had to survive diseases, storms, earthquakes, and volcanoes. We had to fight against each other for resources. We evolved to be survivors. We evolved to be fighters. The Valthine are strong, but they have never faced anything like us. The council chamber was silent. Many aliens began to understand. Humans were not like other species. They were something different, something more dangerous. Dr. Sang-hoon worked with a team of psychologists and biologists. Their job was to understand human advantages in combat. Why were human soldiers better than Valthine soldiers? The answer was complicated but important. Humans had better endurance. A human soldier could march for days without rest. A Valthene soldier needed to rest every few hours. Humans could think faster in dangerous situations. Their brains had evolved to handle stress and fear. Humans could work together better. They trusted their teammates completely. But the biggest advantage was psychological. Humans understood fear and used it as a weapon. They did things that made the enemy scared. They attacked at night. They made strange noises. They left warnings. They made the Valthene soldiers nervous and afraid all the time. Sang-hoon wrote reports about all of this. The military used his reports to plan better attacks. They found more ways to scare the Valthene. They found more ways to make them weak. The Valthene Empire began to crack. Their soldiers did not want to fight anymore. Their supply lines were broken. Their shields did not work. Their bases kept falling to human attacks. The Emperor sent more soldiers to fight, but it did not help. The humans just killed them too. After 2 months, the Valthene had lost 30% of their military. They had lost dozens of bases and outposts. They had lost hundreds of ships. And the humans had barely started. The main fleet, commanded by Admiral Daeun, had not even arrived yet. They were still coming. When they arrived, the real battle would begin. The Valthene Emperor finally realized the truth. He had started a war with the wrong species. He had attacked people who would never stop fighting until they won. He had made a terrible mistake. But it was too late to fix it now. The humans were coming, and they would not stop until the Valthene paid for every human life they had taken. In the darkness of space, the human fleet moved closer to Valthene territory. Admiral Daeun stood on the bridge of her ship and watched the stars. She thought about Commander Hyunwoo. She thought about his family. She thought about all the people who died on Novo 7. And she promised them that their deaths would be avenged. The Valthene would pay. They would pay with everything they had. The human fleet arrived at Valthos Prime like a storm. The planet was beautiful from space. It had blue oceans and green continents. 3 billion Valthene lived there. It was the heart of their empire. It was their home. And now it was under attack. Admiral Daeun stood on the bridge of her flagship. The ship was called Vengeance, and it lived up to its name. It was the largest warship humanity had ever built. It carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Around it, 400 other human ships waited for orders. Daeun looked at the planet below. She felt no joy in what she was about to do. But she felt no guilt either. The Valthene had started this war. They had killed innocent people. Now they would learn what it meant to fight humanity. She gave the order. Begin the siege. Target their orbital defenses first. I want complete control of the space around this planet. Commander Bora led the fighter wing attack. She commanded 300 small fighter craft. They moved fast and hit hard. Bora had been training for this moment her whole life. She was one of the best pilots humanity had ever produced. The Valthene had built massive defense platforms in orbit around their planet. Each platform had hundreds of weapons. They could destroy entire fleets if used correctly. But the Valthene had never fought human pilots before. Bora's fighters moved in patterns the Valthene could not predict. They attacked from multiple directions at once. They used the planet's gravity to increase their speed. They coordinated their attacks perfectly. The Valthene defense platforms tried to shoot them down, but the human fighters were too fast and too skilled. One by one, the defense platforms exploded. Bora lost only 15 fighters in the attack. The Valthene lost all 37 platforms. The space around Valthos Prime now belonged to humanity. The Valthene Emperor watched in horror from his palace. He had believed his orbital defenses were unbeatable. They had protected his planet for 300 years. The humans had destroyed them in 2 hours. He called his military commanders. He demanded they send the Dreadnought fleet. The Dreadnoughts were the pride of the Valthene military. Each one was 5 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to destroy a city. The Valthene had 12 Dreadnoughts. They had never lost a single one in battle. The Dreadnoughts moved into position around the planet. Their commanders were confident. They had fought in many battles and always won. They did not think humans could threaten them. They were very wrong. Captain Dong-hyun commanded a destroyer squadron. He had 6 ships under his command. Each ship was small compared to a dreadnought. But Dong-hyun had a plan. He called it Solution 9. He had been saving it for exactly this moment. Solution 9 was based on a simple idea. The dreadnoughts were big and powerful. But they were also slow. They could not turn quickly. They could not change direction fast. This made them vulnerable if attacked from multiple angles at the same time. Dong-hyun's ship spread out in a wide circle around the dreadnoughts. Then they all attacked at once from different directions. The dreadnoughts tried to fight back, but they could only focus on 1 or 2 targets at a time. While they shot at one human ship, 3 others attacked from behind. The battle was brutal. Human ships used Jaewon's new weapons that could pierce through Valthine's shields. They aimed for weak points in the dreadnought armor. They hit engines, weapon systems, and power generators. The dreadnoughts tried to coordinate their defense, but the human attacks were too fast and too coordinated. In 30 minutes, 7 dreadnoughts were destroyed. The remaining 5 tried to retreat, but human ships followed them. They did not let them escape. They hunted them down one by one. By the end of the day, all 12 dreadnoughts were gone. The most powerful fleet the Valthine had ever built was destroyed. The galaxy watched in shock. Many species had tried to defeat those dreadnoughts for decades. Humans did it in one day. The message was clear. Humanity was now the dominant military power in this region of space. Specialist Haewon had a different mission. She was an expert in computer systems and networks. Her job was to hack into the Valthine planetary defense network. If she succeeded, she could turn their own weapons against them. Haewon sat in a small room on one of the human ships. She stared at multiple computer screens. Her fingers moved quickly across the keyboard. She had been trying to break into the Valthine network for 3 days. It was protected by advanced security systems. But Haewon was patient and skilled. On the 4th day, she found a weakness. The Valthine had not updated their security software in over a year. They thought their network was impossible to hack. They thought wrong. Haewon slipped into their network like a ghost. She moved carefully, making sure nobody noticed her. She found the controls for the planetary defense weapons. Thousands of missile launchers and laser batteries protected the surface of Valthos Prime. They were all connected to a central computer, and now Haewon controlled that computer. She sent a message to Admiral Dayun. "I have control of their planetary defenses." Awaiting orders, Dayun smiled. "Turn their weapons toward their military bases. Fire on my command." The Valthine military commanders watched in horror as their own weapons turned against them. Missile launchers that were supposed to protect them now pointed at their bases. Laser batteries that had guarded the planet for centuries now targeted Valthine soldiers. When Dayun gave the command, thousands of weapons fired at once. Valthine military bases across the planet exploded. Their air force was destroyed on the ground. Their army lost half its equipment in minutes. The defense network they had built over 300 years was now being used to destroy them. The Valthine Emperor finally understood. He could not win this war. The humans were too smart, too fast, too strong. He had to surrender before they destroyed everything. He sent a message requesting a meeting. He wanted to discuss peace terms. The Galactic Council immediately sent a mediator. Her name was Yunji. She was from a neutral species called the Mrengsil. She was known for being fair and honest. Yunji arrived at Admiral Dayun's ship. She asked to speak privately with the Admiral. When they were alone, Yunji explained the situation. The Valthine Emperor wants to surrender. He is willing to offer reparations. He will give you territory and resources. Please consider accepting his offer. Enough blood has been spilled. Dayun listened quietly. Then she shook her head. I appreciate your concern, Mediator Yunji, but the Valthine do not get to decide when this ends. They started this war by killing 40,000 innocent people. They laughed when we asked for justice. They threatened to kill more humans if we did not obey them. Now they are losing and suddenly they want peace. That is not how this works. Yunji looked sad. What do you want, Admiral? Do you want to destroy their planet? Do you want to kill billions of innocent Valthine civilians? Is that justice? No, Dayun said firmly. We do not kill innocents. That is what separates us from them. But the Valthine must face real consequences. They must understand that actions have results. They must know that they cannot attack humans and expect to survive. Then what are your terms? Yunji asked. Dayun pulled up a document on her computer. These are our demands. The Valthine Empire will surrender unconditionally. They will disarm their military to defensive levels only. They will pay reparations to the families of everyone who died on Novos 7. They will allow Galactic Council observers to monitor their government for 50 years. And they will publicly apologize for what they did. Yunji read the terms carefully. They were harsh but not unreasonable. The Valthine would survive, but they would never be a major power again. I will present these to the Emperor. While the negotiations continued, Colonel Kyung-soo prepared his troops for a possible ground invasion. 10,000 Marines waited on the transport ships. They were ready to land on Valthos Prime if the Emperor refused to surrender. Kyung-soo hoped it would not come to that. He was a soldier, not a murderer. He did not want to fight in cities full of civilians, but he would do his duty if ordered. That was what soldiers did. Then something unexpected happened. Private Young-ho was patrolling near a damaged Valthine military base when he heard crying. He investigated and found 3 Valthine children trapped under rubble. Their mother was dead. They were scared and injured. Young-ho could have walked away. These were enemy civilians. Nobody would have blamed him. But he did not walk away. He called for medical help. He dug through the rubble with his bare hands. He pulled the children out one by one. He gave them water and food. He stayed with them until the medics arrived. Someone recorded the whole thing on video. The video was sent to the Galactic Council. It was broadcast across the galaxy. Everyone saw a human soldier, whose people had been murdered by the Valthine, saving Valthine children with gentle hands and kind words. The video changed everything. Many species had been afraid of humans. They thought humans were monsters who only knew how to kill. But the video showed the truth. Humans could be fierce warriors when necessary, but they could also be compassionate and kind. They could hate their enemies while still protecting innocent children. The Valthine Emperor watched the video. For the first time, he truly understood what humans were. They were not simple creatures driven only by revenge. They were complex beings capable of both great violence and great mercy. They would destroy anyone who threatened them, but they would also show kindness. The peace negotiations took place on Nexus 1, a neutral space station that floated between star systems. The station was owned by the Galactic Council. It was built specifically for moments like this. Representatives from 100 species came to watch history being made. Ambassador Tai Yang led the human delegation. He was the same man who had offered the Valthine a chance to surrender before the war began. They had laughed at him then. They were not laughing now. Lieutenant Suman stood beside him as his bodyguard. She wore her combat uniform covered in medals. Every Valthine in the room knew who she was. She was the soldier who had captured their military base with only 300 Marines. The Valthine delegation arrived last. Emperor Valthrin himself came to sign the surrender. He was tall and proud, but his eyes showed defeat. His military commanders walked behind him with their heads down. They had lost everything. The conference room was large and circular. Representatives from different species sat in rows around the center. In the middle stood a single table. Taeyang sat on one side. The Emperor sat on the other. Between them lay the treaty that would end the war. Mediator Yunji read the terms out loud so everyone could hear. The Valthine Empire agrees to the following conditions. First, they will immediately cease all military operations. Second, they will reduce their military forces to defensive levels only with no more than 100 warships. Third, they will pay 5 trillion credits in reparations to the families affected by the Novo 7 attack. Fourth, they will allow Galactic Council monitors to observe their government for 50 years. Fifth, they will publicly apologize for their actions. The room was silent. Everyone knew these terms would change the balance of power in the galaxy. The Valthine had been one of the strongest empires. Now they would be just another minor power. Emperor Valthrin picked up the electronic pen. His hand shook slightly. He looked at Taeyang with hatred and respect mixed together. You have won, human. But know this. We Valthine have long memories. Perhaps our children's children will seek revenge one day. Taeyang looked at him calmly. Perhaps. But perhaps your children will be wiser than you. Perhaps they will learn that peace is better than war. Perhaps they will understand that attacking innocent people brings only destruction. The choice will be theirs. The Emperor signed the treaty. The war was over. The Valthine Empire had fallen. But something new was beginning. Admiral Dayun arrived at the station 2 days later. She came to address the Galactic Council. Every species wanted to hear what humanity would do next. Would they conquer more territory? Would they become the new overlords of this region of space? Would they be the next empire to fear? Dayun walked into the council chamber. Captain Jiho walked beside her. He had been chosen to translate human intentions for the other species. Many aliens did not understand human culture or thinking. They needed someone to explain. Dawn stood in the center of the chamber. 100 species looked down at her from their seats. She felt their fear and curiosity. She understood why they were nervous. Humanity had just destroyed one of the galaxy's strongest empires in less than 3 months. What would they do with that power? She spoke clearly and slowly so everyone could understand. Members of the Galactic Council, I come before you today not as a conqueror but as a protector. Humanity did not seek this war. We only wanted to live in peace. But when the Valthine attacked our innocent civilians, we had no choice but to respond. We have shown what happens when someone attacks humanity, but now we want to show something else. We want to show what happens when someone allies with humanity. The chamber erupted in whispers. This was unexpected. The other species had assumed humans would demand tribute or territory. Instead, they were offering alliances. Daeyun continued. We have learned many things during this war. We have learned that the galaxy is not as safe as we thought. We have learned that strong empires can attack weak species without consequences. We have learned that the Galactic Council sometimes cannot protect its members. We want to change that. Humanity offers protection to any species that wants it, not as conquerors or masters but as friends and partners. We will defend those who cannot defend themselves. We ask nothing in return except friendship and cooperation. Representative Mireille stood up to support Daeyun's words. She added more details to the proposal. Humanity is willing to share our technology with allied species. We will teach our military tactics to those who want to learn. We will help build defenses for worlds that are vulnerable. We want to create a new alliance based on mutual respect and protection. The Galactic Council debated for 3 days. Some species were suspicious. They thought humanity had hidden motives. Others were interested but cautious. A few were enthusiastic and immediately wanted to join. Engineer Jaewon had already started working on the next phase of humanity's plan. He was not just sharing military technology. He was sharing everything. Medical technology, agricultural methods, energy systems, construction techniques. He believed that raising everyone's standard of living would make the galaxy safer and more peaceful. He held classes at a research station near Earth. Scientists from 12 different species came to learn. Jaewon taught them about fusion reactors, genetic medicine, and quantum computing. He answered every question patiently. He shared blueprints and data freely. An old Qualic scientist asked him a question. Why do you share all this? Most species keep their technology secret. They use it to maintain power over others. Why are humans different? Jaewon smiled. Because we learned something important in our history. When people work together and share knowledge, everyone benefits. When people hoard knowledge and fight over resources, everyone suffers. We almost destroyed ourselves on Earth because we could not learn this lesson fast enough. We do not want the galaxy to make the same mistakes. The Qualic scientist thought about this. Your species is very young, but very wise. Perhaps that is because you still remember what it is like to struggle and suffer. Dr. Sang-hoon established the first interspecies medical exchange program. He invited doctors from 20 species to come study at human hospitals. He wanted to learn from them and teach them at the same time. Every species had different biology, but the basic principles of healing were universal. A Prixian doctor was amazed by human trauma care. You humans have developed incredible ways to save injured people. Your soldiers can survive wounds that would kill any of my people. How did you learn all this? Sang-hoon's answer was sad but honest. We learned because we had to. Humans fought wars against each other for thousands of years. We killed each other in terrible ways. We had to learn how to save lives because we were so good at taking them. It is not something to be proud of, but it is useful knowledge. Now we share it so others do not have to learn it the same way we did. The peace with the Valthine was not easy at first. Many humans were angry. They did not want to forgive the species that had killed their friends and family. Many Valthine were ashamed and resentful. They did not want to accept help from the people who had defeated them. But slowly, things began to change. Human engineers helped rebuild the Valthine military bases that had been destroyed. Valthine doctors learned new medical techniques from human teachers. Young Valthine students studied at human universities. Young humans visited Valthine cultural sites. The most surprising change came from the Valthine themselves. They became humanity's strongest supporters in the Galactic Council. They spoke passionately about how humans had shown mercy when they could have shown cruelty. They explained how humans had defeated them in battle but helped them in peace. Emperor Valthrin gave a speech that shocked everyone. We Valthine believed we were strong. We believed we could take whatever we wanted. We believed might made right. The humans taught us we were wrong. They defeated us in battle, yes. But they also showed us a better way. They showed us that true strength includes mercy. They showed us that real power includes the choice not to use it. We are grateful for the lesson, even though it was painful to learn. Within 1 year, 12 species had signed alliance treaties with humanity. Within 2 years, that number grew to 30. The Human Defense Coalition was born. It was not an empire. It was a voluntary alliance of species who wanted to protect each other and work together. The galaxy began to change. Species that had been enemies for centuries started talking to each other. Trade increased. Technology improved for everyone. Wars became less common because everyone knew that the Human Defense Coalition would respond to aggression. Admiral Da-Un retired after 5 years. She had done what she set out to do. She had avenged Novo 7. She had shown the galaxy that humans could be trusted. She had helped create a better, safer galaxy for everyone. At her retirement ceremony, she gave one final speech. When Commander Hyunwoo and his family died, I was filled with anger and grief. I wanted revenge. I wanted to hurt those who had hurt us. But I have learned something important. Revenge alone accomplishes nothing. True victory comes when you make the galaxy better than it was before. We fought a war and won. But the real achievement is what we built after the war ended. We built friendships. We built trust. We built a future where 5 years had passed since the Valthine War ended. The galaxy looked very different now. Peace and cooperation had replaced fear and conflict in many regions. But the peace was not guaranteed. It had to be protected and maintained every day. Fleet Admiral Young-ho commanded the Human Defense Coalition fleet. He was the same soldier who had saved 3 Valthine children during the war. That act of kindness had been recorded and broadcast across the galaxy. Now he was famous. More importantly, he was trusted. When Young-ho gave an order, people from 40 different species followed it without question. The coalition fleet was impressive. It included ships from 30 species. Humans provided most of the military power, but every member contributed what they could. Qualic ships were fast scouts. Prixian ships had excellent sensors. Valthine ships, though fewer now, had strong armor. Together, they formed the most powerful defensive force the galaxy had ever seen. Young-ho stood on the bridge of his flagship. It was called Unity, a name chosen carefully. The ship had been built by workers from 12 different species. It represented what the galaxy could accomplish when everyone worked together. His second-in-command was a Valthine officer named Krelzon. 5 years ago, this would have been impossible. Humans and Valthine had been at war. Now they served together. Krelzon had proven himself to be loyal, smart, and brave. Young-ho trusted him completely. "Sir, we are receiving a distress signal," Krelzon reported. "It is from the mining colony on Paris 6. They are under attack." Young-ho moved quickly to the command station. "Who is attacking them?" "Unknown species, sir. The colonists call them the Kreshtal. They appear to be insectoid. Large numbers. Heavily armed." Young-ho did not hesitate. "Set course for Paris 6, maximum speed. Send messages to all coalition ships in the region. We are going to help those colonists." The Unity and 15 other coalition ships jumped to hyperspace. They would arrive at Paris 6 in 6 hours. Young-ho used that time to learn everything he could about the Kreshtal. They were a species that had recently entered this region of space. They were aggressive and territorial. They attacked first and asked questions never. When the coalition fleet arrived, they found the Kreshtal attacking the mining colony with brutal efficiency. Their ships were ugly but effective. They looked like giant insects made of metal. The colonists were fighting back with mining equipment and small weapons. They could not hold out much longer. Young-ho opened a communication channel to the Kreshtal. "This is Fleet Admiral Young-ho of the Human Defense Coalition. You are attacking a member colony. Cease your attack immediately or face the consequences." The Kreshtal response came in harsh, clicking sounds. The translator struggled to make sense of it. Eventually, the message came through. "This world has resources we need. The weak species here cannot stop us. You cannot stop us either. Go away or die with them." Young-ho sighed. He had hoped to solve this peacefully. But the Kreshtal had made their choice. "All ships engage the enemy. Protect the colony at all costs. Try to disable rather than destroy if possible." But if they will not surrender, do what is necessary. The battle was fast and violent. The Kreshtal had numbers on their side. They had 50 ships against the Coalition's 16. But the Coalition had better training, better coordination, and better technology. Human ships used weapons designed by J1. They cut through Kreshtal armor easily. Qualic scouts identified weak points in enemy formations. Phyrexian sensors jammed Kreshtal communications. Valthene ships absorbed enemy fire while others attacked. Young-Ho commanded the battle with calm efficiency. He had learned from Admiral Daun. Victory required both strength and strategy. The Coalition ships moved like parts of one organism. They supported each other. They covered each other's weaknesses. They fought together perfectly. Within 1 hour, 30 Kreshtal ships were destroyed or disabled. The remaining 20 tried to retreat. Young-Ho let them go. He had saved the colony. He had taught the Kreshtal a lesson. There was no need for more killing. The colonists were grateful. They were a mixture of humans, Qualics, and Phyrexians. They all thanked Young-Ho and his fleet. Young-Ho told them it was his duty and his honor to protect them. That was what the Coalition existed for. But Young-Ho also did something unexpected. He captured several Kreshtal soldiers who had landed on the planet. Instead of killing them or sending them away, he had them brought to his ship. He wanted to talk to them. The Kreshtal soldiers were aggressive at first. They threatened and insulted him. But Young-Ho was patient. He had food brought for them. He made sure they were not hurt. He treated them with respect even though they had tried to kill his allies. After 2 days, one of the Kreshtal soldiers started talking. His name was something that sounded like clicking and hissing, but the translator called him Click. Click explained that the Kreshtal were desperate. Their home system was dying. They needed resources to save their people. They thought attacking others was their only option. Young-Ho listened carefully. Then he made an offer. What if I told you there was another way? What if the Coalition could help you find resources without attacking anyone? What if we could trade with you instead of fighting you? Click did not believe him at first, but Young-Ho was serious. He contacted the Galactic Council. He arranged for a delegation to visit the Kreshtal home system. He offered to share technology that could help them extract resources from dead planets and asteroids. He showed them that cooperation was better than conquest. It took time, but eventually the Kreshtal agreed. They became members of the Human Defense Coalition. The species that had attacked a colony became allies. This was how the Coalition worked. They defended against aggression, but they also offered friendship to former enemies. Back on Earth, Director Sang-hoon ran the Diplomatic Academy. This was where young people learned how to be ambassadors and negotiators. Students from 50 species studied there. They learned each other's languages and cultures. They learned how to solve problems without violence. One of his best students was a young woman named Haiwan. She was brilliant and dedicated. She studied for 12 hours every day. She could speak 15 alien languages fluently. She understood the complexities of galactic politics better than people twice her age. Sang-hoon believed she would be one of the great ambassadors of her generation. He taught her everything he knew. He explained that true diplomacy was not about winning arguments. It was about finding solutions that worked for everyone. It was about building trust and friendship. Haiwan graduated at the top of her class. She was immediately assigned to work with Ambassador Taeyang. Together, they negotiated the Galactic Protection Accord. This treaty was the most important document in recent galactic history. The Galactic Protection Accord had simple but powerful rules. First, any attack on innocent civilians by any species would be considered a crime against the entire galaxy. Second, the Human Defense Coalition would respond to any such attack with overwhelming force. Third, all species were invited to join the coalition and receive its protection. Fourth, members of the coalition agreed to share resources and technology to help each other prosper. 60 species signed the accord in the first year. Within 5 years, that number grew to 120. The galaxy had a new system of justice and protection. Aggressive empires could no longer attack weak species without consequences. Not everyone was happy about this. Some species thought humans had too much power. They worried that humans would eventually become dictators. But humans worked hard to prove these fears wrong. They shared power with other species. They listened to different opinions. They made decisions through councils and votes, not through force. Captain Dong Hyun commanded the exploration vessel Wanderer. His mission was to discover new worlds and contact new species. His crew included members from 20 different species. They worked together to push the boundaries of known space. On one mission, they discovered a primitive species on a planet called Eridos 3. The species had just invented radio technology. They were at the same level of development that humans had been 300 years ago. According to galactic law, advanced species were supposed to leave primitive species alone. They should be allowed to develop naturally without interference. But Dong Hyun and his crew discovered something terrible. The planet was in danger. A massive asteroid was going to hit Eridos 3 in 2 years. It would cause an extinction event. The primitive species would die without ever knowing why. Dong Hyun contacted the Galactic Council. He asked for permission to save them. The council debated for weeks. Some species said they should not interfere. It was the natural order of things. Other species said they had a moral duty to save innocent lives when they could. Ambassador Tae Yang argued passionately for saving them. We have the power to prevent this tragedy. What does it say about us if we watch and do nothing? Are we not better than that? Did we not create the coalition specifically to protect those who cannot protect themselves? The council voted. They decided to save the species on Eridos 3. Dong Hyun's ship and several others went back to the planet. They destroyed the asteroid before it could hit. They did it carefully so the primitive species never knew they were there. The species survived and continued developing naturally.